is my model, and I'm going to be taking a complete measurement on her. All right, like everything that you want to make in an outfit, I'm going to be taking that on my model today. So the first measurement you want to do is you want to take is your shoulder measurement. Now this is how you take your measurement from this shoulder bone to the other shoulder bone. And for my client, we have 13 inches, right? 13 inches. The next measurement we want to take is our bust measurement. Please, you want to ensure that your client is wearing a firm fitting bra. A firm fitting bra. And that your client is not tilting or bending or slouching, alright? So we are going to be measuring her bust measurement. This is 32 inches. And you want to ensure that you have like a finger in between the person's body and the tape, right? This is to allow for ease, right? So that is that about the bust measurement. The next measurement we want to take is our waist measurement. Now for this waist measurement, we have two measurements. We have your true waistline and the lower waistline. Now your true waistline is the waistline from where your half cut stops. That is just like the part on your waist where you can easily tilt to the sides, right? Like it's the tiniest part of your upper body, right? So her waist measurement is 25, right? So this is her true waistline. If you don't know it, you can actually go ahead and just tie tape or a bias or a rope-like stuff around this waistline, right? You just want to tie it to enable you measure appropriately. Now this is her true waistline. Now her lower waistline is the bony part on your abdomen, right? This is the place you just want to go ahead and measure that. So for her, we have about 27.5. I hope you understand that. Now the next measurement you want to take is her half length. Now, like I said earlier, when we were taking our true waistline measurement, you just have to ensure that you tie a rope-like stuff around the waist to help you measure accurately. So we are going to be placing our tape from the highest point of her shoulder and follow it all through her under bust to the length of where the rope stops. Like you can see, her half length is 15 inches. I hope that is understandable. Now, it depends on you where you want to measure the length of the top. If it is a peplum, you take your half length from this part and then you measure wherever it is you want the length of the top to stop. I hope you understand that. Now, the next thing we want to take is our busts, our hip measurement. Now, when we are placing our hip measurement, measuring our hip, you want to ensure that you place your tape rule on the bulgiest part of your hip and not on top of the, on top of the bone, not underneath the bone, but exactly on the bone, right? So this is what you have. The fullest part of your hip, please. That's where you're measuring. So we have 40 inches for her hip. Now we want to go ahead to measure our gown length. Everything is solely dependent on what the client or what you want to make for yourself. You just want to measure and ensure that your tape runs through all through the under bust and then to the various lengths. If you want it to be a mini gown, a short gown, a three-quarter gown, all the way to the floor length. Note that whenever you're measuring a client for a long outfit, please, the standard is the floor. Measure from the highest point of the shoulder up to the ground. Measure from the highest point of your shoulder up to the ground, right? Now that is that about that. Now I want to take our skirt measurement. You want to ask your client, where do they wear their skirts from? Most people will always want to wear their skirt on their belly button. So you just want to be sure you communicate that with your client, right? And then you measure from that point up to the length of where you want the person's skirt to stop, right? Now that is that about the skirt measurement. The next thing we want to measure is our arm length, right? Now to take our arm length measurement, you want to ask your client to stand at hands akimbo. This is because of the movable joint around your elbow area, right? You just want to ask your client to stand at hands akimbo to enable you to take proper measurement for your sleeve length, right? So you start measuring from the shoulder, right? You measure that you have your, depending on the length of wherever you want the sleeve to stop, you measure that. You take note of these elbow measurements. Most importantly, just know where the cap sleeve stops, like the really shortest kind of sleeve where it stops. Then you want to measure your elbow measurement. Very important. This is the highest is 13, and then you want to measure the sleeve length, right? You see 23. Now, put your hands straight. Let me show you why this method is better. So I've often gotten to see people complain of having tightness, experiencing tightness around the elbow area, right? You don't take your measurements like this. By doing that, you will not allow the person's elbow to move freely. You understand? So I wanted to show you something. When you take a measurement like this, and when you take your measurements with hands akimbo. See? When we measure like this, we have 22, and at hands akimbo, we are having about 24 inches to get, so as much as 2 inches different, and that's a whole lot, right? And the same rule also applies to taking the measurement for your circumference. You want to ensure that you tell your client to stand at hands akimbo when taking your elbow measurement. So for instance, see, standing at hands akimbo, we have 10.5. Now, imagine taking it like this. We are having 9.5. A whole of 1 inch can make the whole difference, right? So our elbow measurement is 10.5. Now that is that about the sleeve, right? Another thing we want to be sure is taking your wrist measurement. Now oftentimes I see people taking wrist measurements like this. This is not right, right? This is not right. This is because your hands is the first to enter if it's a long sleeve, your hands will enter your sleeve first. But whenever you want to take your wrist measurement, you don't take it here, please. This is where you take for your wrist measurement. I hope you will see that, right? Now that is that about your sleeve. The next measurement we want to take is our pant measurement. Like I said earlier, that this is a summarized fashion of taking accurate body measurement. Like every measurement you're taking here, you can be used to make any kind of outfit you want to make, right? So now when taking your trouser measurement, right, you want to take your lap measurement. You don't take it straight like this. No, right? You don't take your measurement like this. You take your measurement and tilt it towards the box. Now, let me show you the difference. So, this is me taking this measurement straight, and I'm having 25 inches. And then tilting it towards her bum. I'm having 28 inches. 3 inches, wow, that's a whole lot. Do you understand? So whenever you're taking your trouser measurement, you want to ensure that you tilt this thing, especially around the lap, you tilt it towards the bum. Alright, so we have 28 inches. Now to measure for her knee, this knee and the ankle, they are of the same family. You know, there's this back and forth movement around the area. So because of that, it's not advisable for you to just take your measurement by just standing straight, right? I know that many of us will want to wear some kind of trousers and you have to wear nylon and all of that, you know. So you want to ensure that you kind of tilt your knee forward to allow you get measurements for your knee. So we are having about 16 inches for your knee, right? We are having 16 inches for your knee. So the last measurement we're going to be taking is our ankle measurement. Just the same way rule that applies on the wrist, the same thing applies on your ankle, right? So instead of just coming here to just measure here, no. You want to measure from the sole of her feet and you take your measurement. And you want to ensure that you try passing the tape round to ensure that there's nothing obstructing it, right? You want to ensure that at 13 inches, this can move freely. She can put her leg into her trouser and she will not experience any friction of whatever sort. So that is that about measurement. I hope you found this video very, very useful and you will not have issues taking measurements subsequently. Kindly like, subscribe, share and comment on this video, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.